Hey! So I've gotten a few requests to share the speech that I did from my mother's funeral, and I've decided that I wanted to do it in a video to really show the way I said it, more than just the words on the page. And I'm really sorry that it looks like I am reading it right off the paper. I didn't want to memorize it. So if you'll have to excuse my eyes wandering around the page. With that being said, let's get started. So, my name is Crystal Rose, and I am Michelle's daughter. I'm going to give you my best attempt to summarize my mother's life, which was a bit of a wild ride. Michelle was born March 25th, 1962, to Stan and Rose Hakes Marcino in Whitehorse, Yukon. Michelle was adopted by Ollie Desjardine when Rose remarried, and she and her sisters were raised in Salmon Arm, BC. Michelle was survived by her mother and father, Rose and Ollie Desjardins, her sisters, Pamela Desjardins, Janet Lockwood and her husband Ron, Bonnie Foster, and her children, Christopher Clark with Megan Norris, Eugene Urchyshyn Jr. with Angela, and myself, Crystal Rose DeHaan, with my husband Glenn. Her stepchildren, Sheila Pahoka with Raymond, and Shelley DeRigo with Jim. And she was Baba to many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Michelle spent her life migrating through Western Canada, making friends in Salmon Arm and all throughout the Shuswap region, as well as Golden, Fort St. John, Calgary, Bragg Creek, Red Deer, and Drayton Valley. She opened up her home in Buck Creek, Alberta, to many animals, creating a sanctuary for many species, which she loved as her own family. And she was well known as the egg lady of the neighborhood. She was always willing to give what she had and trade for what she did not have. Her mantra was live, love, laugh. And she only ever ended a conversation with, bye for now. She surrounded herself with happy faces, like literally happy faces. And she always tried to choose happiness and love in her life. I want to go through what her mantra, live, love, laugh, looked like from the eyes of her baby girl. I watched my mother live. She was a wild woman that did not fit into the binding roles that she constantly shed. My mother was as fierce as a wildfire, bright and resilient and uncontrollable. But she wasn't just the roaring flame. She was the forest as well. For what is a wildfire without the forest? She was the sanctuary in the woods that was true and honest and good, where the animals came for shelter and reprieve, with every spirit of life in the forest connected. And the flames were not without purpose. They could be devastating, yes, but they cleared the old dead growth and they made space for new starts. My mother had a lot of wildfires and many new starts. She was never afraid to build something out of nothing with only love and hope and happiness as her tools. She fought as fierce and strong as a mountain lion, and she built her pack wherever she roamed like the wolf. She was as stubborn as the buffalo and as cunning and resourceful as the raven. If there's one thing that my mother taught me about living, it's that you are what you make yourself. I watched my mother love. Loving the animals was easy, whole or broken, friendly or wild, Any animal could find sanctuary with Mum. Garter snakes, baby crows, roosters, goats, stallions, wolf dogs, and even a llama. It takes a special person to love a llama. Loving the people had its challenges, but she loved them because we were all just animals from the same great spirit. Good or bad, right or wrong, whole or broken, friendly or wild, one or many. Mom loved them all. Loving herself, that was the hard one. And the most beautiful to watch. She began to believe that God loves every one of his children, even her. Good or bad, right or wrong, wild or friendly. She was worthy of her own love. I watched her love every spirit in her life, and I comforted her every time she lost one. Her sorrow was so deep and raw, and she would apologize for getting so worked up, and I would tell her it's okay to be upset. It's okay to cry. When you lose someone you love, it's supposed to hurt. Trust love to carry you through the pain. If there's one thing my mother taught me about loving, it's that you can choose to love every being on this earth without judgment, and that it's worth it. I watched my mother laugh. Never have I ever in my life seen so many smiley faces in one place, and each one brought her so much joy. You could be in the middle of a deep and serious conversation, and she would grab one from the windowsill. Smiley face! Mom was a stellar example of what it actually looked like to choose happiness. With tears brimming from her eyes, she would wrangle her demons and smile. The little girl in her heart fearlessly pushed through to the surface with a giggle and a smile, and that will never, ever be forgotten. If there's one thing that my mother taught me about laughing, it's that it's a choice, and that no one has the power to steal your happiness. I know that my mum, Michelle, was greeted warmly as she passed through the Vale by the many family and friends that had passed before her. On the other side waited her naturally born father, Stan, her two stepsons, Kirk and Tim, her lost friend, Karen, and her many aunts, uncles, and cousins. And so I want to remind everyone here today that though she's no longer here, she's not far, and that this is not a final goodbye, but one more bye for now. Thank you.